I welcome you for this presentation. Today we will be doing some exercise regarding resultant of coplanar concurrent force system. Last class we have discussed the concepts of arriving the resultant force, how to arrive with two number of forces which are acting and how to arrive when multiple number of forces which are acting. Now let us understand some more things when we are solving these examples. Yes, let us start the solution of examples. Here, four coplanar forces are acting at a point as shown in figure. You can see this is y-axis and x-axis. You have four coplanar forces. That is, forces are acting in a single plane and they are concurrent. It is all the forces are acting at a single point. One force is unknown and the magnitude of force is shown by P. So you can see that this force is unknown and it has an angle theta. So the resultant has a magnitude of 500 Newton and is acting along the x-axis. So the resultant is written here and it is written as R equal to 500 and it is acting exactly at x-axis. Determine the unknown force P and its inclination with x-axis. So the theta and P is to be found out here. If there are multiple number of forces, we know that the concept of resolution of forces. So we will be resolving all the forces vertically and horizontally in order to find resultant. Now let us find sum of all the forces which is acting in horizontal direction as 0. And here we will consider all the horizontal force with respect to resultant. So what do you mean by resultant is whatever the forces are acting are made into a single force called resultant. Now we will resolve all the forces horizontally. And first let us take P into cos theta. So when resolving horizontally you should use cos theta and minus P cos theta is written here. Why? Because the P is acting at left hand side and 200 into cos 45 degree, which is after resolving it will move into the right hand side. Hence this is plus 200 into cos 45 and 500 kilonewton, which is acting inclined to the left hand side. Hence 500 into cos 30, which will be minus. So minus 500 into cos 30. And you have a purely vertical force here and which is 200, which is acting vertical. So we cannot resolve this. So if the forces which are acting purely horizontal and purely vertical, you can only consider while resolving it vertically or horizontally. Okay. So if you try to resolve 200 Newton into and 200 cos 90 is 0. So 200 into 90 will be 0. So there will be no horizontal component for 200 Newton. So even though if you substitute it as 90 degree with respective to x-axis, it will be a 0 force only. Okay. And this equals, you can write R into cos 0. So it is 500. Why? Because it is purely acting in horizontal axis. We can equal to this force. Right now, if you are adding this two force, you will be getting minus 291.59 as the answer. And you can take the minus P cos theta outside, 500 to the left hand side. Now you will be getting minus 791.59 Newton. So this is an equation which we arrived. Okay. So let us resolve all the forces towards vertical direction. So you are having 200 into angle is 45, that is sin 45. So plus 200 into sin 45 and P into sin theta. We have to find P into sin theta, which will be plus, and 500 into sin 30, which will be acting downward after resolution, and minus 500 into 30 is downward. And you have 200 Newton, which is acting purely at vertical axis, which is downward, and minus 200. So all the forces you have considered equal to 0. Now why you are not taking the resultant? Why? Because here the resultant has no part to play when resolving vertically. After simplification of the answers. So you can multiply 200 into sin 45 and you can simplify this numerical terms. You will be getting 300.57 and you can take this outside. Now you will be getting the second equation as 308.579. So now you have two equations, that is P in terms of sin theta and P in terms of cos theta, and you can take the two equation and square all the terms and equate. So when squaring P square cos square theta plus P square sin square theta equals, the answer which you got here is 791.59. So we will be squaring this and the answer what we got. So when you are squaring all the terms in equation 1 and 2, so you can take the P square outside and you will be getting cos square theta plus sin square theta, which will become 1, and there will be P square here and you can square and add this. You will be getting this value, and if you root this, finally you will be getting the value of P. And if you know this value of P, substitute here, that is 849.61 Newton, and you can find the theta. So you can divide this answer and sin inverse. If you are making sin inverse, you will be getting theta, or else you can divide this equation 2 by 1. So the second equation is P sin theta. So P sin theta divided by P cos theta. So both the P are similar, so it is not taken here, and you will be getting sin theta by cos theta, and this is 308.57 and divided by minus 791.59. So sin by cos will become tan, and you will be having a tan of certain value, and whatever value you are getting, if you tan inverse, you will be getting 21.29 degree as your answer. So in this way you can get a data which is not available. So if all the forces are known, you can find the resultant, or if resultant is known, only one force is unknown, you can find this by using this solution. So finally we found that the P is 849.61 and theta is 21.3 degree. Okay, let us understand this next problem. And a 26 kilonewton force is the resultant of two forces. You have a resultant force here, and 26 Newton is the resultant force, which is having an angle. In certain cases, you will be not having an angle, which is directly they will be not giving an angle. So in case of gradient, so this is known as gradient system. So this is 12, which is vertical, and 5 is horizontal. So in terms of vertical and horizontal, they will be giving the angles. So either they can give in degree in terms or they can give in gradient terms. Okay. The next force is 10 kilonewton. One of the force which is shown in figure determine the other force. So one force they have given, that is 10 kilonewton. This is having a gradient of vertical 3, horizontal 4. And you have to find the force, unknown force, which is P, and you have to find the theta here. Okay, now we know the resultant, and which is 26 kilonewton. We can find the theta 1 and theta 2. Let us convert this gradient into degree. So how to find this? So if this is a triangle, you can imagine this as a triangle, and this theta will be same. So this is a greater triangle and this is a smaller replica of this. So the same angle theta 1 will be here. What do you mean by tan theta? Opposite by adjacent. So opposite is 12 and adjacent is 5. So you can tan inverse and you can get theta 1. So similarly, for this force, you have the same theta 2, you can take here, and opposite by adjacent is 3 by 4, you can tan inverse that to get theta 2. So we will be getting both the angles in terms of degree. Okay, now it is convenient to resolve. And we have taken the unknown force SP and the angle as theta from the horizontal. Note that all the angles are with respect to horizontal. Now we can start the resolution. So let us resolve all the forces horizontally, and if you resolve 10 kilonewton into theta 2 is 36, so which will be in right hand side, so plus, so 10 into 36.87 and resultant will be in terms of equal. So whenever you have a resultant force, you have to write in the equation in the opposite side. Why? Because sum of two forces will be equal to the resultant. So you have to remember that the resultant is written at right hand side and its angle is 67.38 degree. Okay, it is also positive, and the final force is P. So P into theta. So P into this cos theta. And finally, we can keep P cos theta at one side and remaining terms are taken outside, and you can simplify this, you will be getting 2. So P cos theta equal to 2 is the answer here. So let us keep this resolve vertically. So P into theta, P into sin theta, which will be upward, and P into theta is plus, and 10 into theta 2. So 10 into theta 2 is 36.86, which will be in terms of sine, and you have resultant 26 into sine theta 1. So 26 into sine theta 1. We can keep P sine theta at one side, and rest we can take it outside, and we will be getting P sine theta equal to 18. So now you can use this property. You can divide equation 2 by equation 1. So this is equation 2, P sine theta equal to 18. So P sine theta equal to 18 is written here. If you divide this by equation 1, so our equation 1 was P cos theta 2. So P will be getting cancelled, and sine by cos will become tan, and this will become 9. So if you make tan inverse of 9, you will be getting theta as 83.66 degree. So if you know this 83.66, you can substitute in equation 2. So if the sin theta is 83.66, and you will be getting some value, and you can divide that by 18 divided by that answer, you will be getting P. Or else you can square equation 1 and 2. If I square that, P square sin square theta plus P square cos square theta equal to 18 square plus 2 square. So 18 square will be 324 and 2 square will be 4. You can add that, and you can take the P square commonly, and sin square theta plus cos square theta will become 1, and you can root this value to find P. So you will be getting 18.11 kilonewton and theta as 83.66 degree. So now this is a reverse form in order to find the unknown property. Yes, let us take another example here, and the resultant force of a system on a bracket as shown in figure is acting vertically upward. You can see that all the forces are acting vertically upward as shown in the figure. If the angle 30 degree between two 4 kilonewton forces is fixed, so the angle between 4 kilonewton 30 degree which is fixed, and find the angle theta might also determine the magnitude of resultant. So now you have to find the resultant, that is R. The figure is given here, you have to find the R, and we are not knowing this theta, and we know that this theta is not with respect to horizontal axis. So you have to find this theta and add this 30 degree. So there are two unknowns here. So now in the earlier problem we got only one unknown, now you got two unknowns here. So whatever may be the case, you can use the same procedure. In order to find the solution, you have to use the concept of resolution of force. You can resolve into vertical and horizontal component, and you will be getting two equations, and by the two equations you can use mathematical property in order to get the solution. So first let us take all the component with respect to horizontal axis, and when we resolve into horizontal component, 4 kilonewton into cos theta, and 4 kilonewton into cos theta, which will be right hand side, and it is plus, and 4 kilonewton 30 plus theta, that is cos 30 plus theta, which is plus 4 into cos 30 plus theta, and you have 2 kilonewton force which is acting left hand side, and 2 kilonewton into cos 60, which will be minus. So 2 cos 60 equal to 0. Now you know that the component of 2 into cos theta. So you can get the answer. So you can take this outside of this equation, and you can keep it here. And after that you have 4 cos theta plus 4 cos 30 plus theta. So all the components are divided by 4 and the 4 will get cancelled and everywhere. So now you had 1 by 4 which will come here. So now in this cos A plus B and cos A plus B will be cos A cos B minus sin A sin B. So this is A and this is B. Now cos theta we have written here, cos A cos B and sin A sin B is written here equal to 1. Yes. Now after getting that, we know that cos theta is written here and cos 30 we can write it as 0.86 into cos theta minus sin 30 will be 0.5 into sin theta equal to 1 by 4 is 0.25. Yes. Next you can add this component, that is you can take it as 1.86 cos theta minus 0.5 sin theta, and further you can divide all the component by cos theta. So if I divide this whole equation by cos theta, what will happen? So cos by cos will get cancelled here and sin by cos will become tan theta, and cos inverse of 0.25 will be 1.31. This will be in terms of radian. So either you can get cos inverse in terms of degree and radian. So we have written in terms of radian here. You can take it to left hand side and you can take 0.5 tan theta into right hand side. And if I do this, I will be getting 0.55 equal to 0.5 tan theta, and if I divide this 0.55 by 0.5, I will be getting 1.1 tan theta. I can make tan inverse of 1.1. So it will be 47.72 degree. And if I know the degree here, after getting this value, that is 47.72 degree, and we can find the resultant now. Now all the angle is known, and let us resolve it vertically. 4 into sine 47.72 which will be upward, and 4 into sine 47.72 will be 0.74, and the second term 4 into 47.72 plus 30, so that will be 77.72 degree. So sine 77.72 degree is 0.97, and which is multiplied here, and the next component is 2 into sine 60, and the sine 60 is 0.87, and you can add all the things. All the things are acting upward, and after adding all the component you will be getting R as 8.6 kilonewton. So by this way you can find not even one unknown, you can find two unknown. So the only concept is you should know mathematical property. After resolution of force concept, you have to use certain property in order to tackle each and every problem. And you can see a figure here, and you have an inclined plane, and in that you are having an object, and this object has 3 number of forces. They have given the axis, that is y and x axis, and you have 3 number of forces. Now you have to find the resultant force. So what is the resultant? So 3 number of forces given. So the thing is, you should apply the concept of resolution. So before that you should check that either all the angles are with respective to horizontal axis. Now you can see that, so whatever the external things are given, so you have to omit that. While analyzing, you should only take what are the forces and where it is acting. You have to only concentrate in y axis and x axis. So this is the axis, and you have 3 number of forces, that is 700 Newton, 600 Newton and 800 Newton. Object which is placed at 45 degree, and there is an object here, you forget everything. So why? Because if you want to solve or if you want to analyze, you should only consider the forces and its angle. And here you can see that the angle is given with respective to vertical axis. So before starting the resolution, make sure that all are with respective to horizontal axis, that is x axis. So in order to get the remaining angle, so 90 minus 45 will be, rest of the angle will be 45 degree. So now you forget this angle, and we can take the angle as 600 Newton is acting at an angle of 45 degree. And first we shall find sum of f of x, and let us resolve all the force into horizontal. And 700 Newton which is acting right hand side in terms of angle is 30 degrees. So 700 cos 30, which is plus. 700 cos 30, which is plus. And 600 Newton into the angle is 45 degree, and which will be acting at left hand side, hence it is minus 600 into 45. So now you got summation of f of x. Next let us get summation of f of y here. And what are the forces which are acting upward? So you have all the forces, you have three number of force, that is 800 Newton, which is purely acting at y axis, and you can take plus 800 Newton. And if you resolve this with respect to y axis, 700 sin 30, which will be acting downward, and it will be minus. So 700 sin 30 and 600 into sin 45, which will be acting downward. So minus 600 sin 45 degree. So now you got all the components, you can multiply and simplify to get the answer. So now you are getting 25.736 Newton, and summation of f of x will be 181.953 Newton. And if you got all the two components, in order to find resultant, you can root that and square of the summation of vertical and horizontal forces. So, and you will be getting an answer of 183.764 Newton. And if you want to get theta, tan inverse of summation of fy divided by fx. So 25.73 divided by 181.95. So this value is tan inverse, and you will be getting the theta as 8.05 degree. Problem is being observed. It looks like a complicated problem, but if you keenly understand the concept and what is required, so you have made this problem look so simple. So this is how in our tradition we have a story. In the Mahabharata epic, 5 students are taking the class of archery, and during those class his teacher named Dronachari, and he taught the archery class. So when he is taking all the 5 students into the ground, and he is asking the student, can you look at that side? These students has to know that when learning archery, they should be in a focused form. They should be focused in the target. So archery is hitting the target. If a teacher says that look at that side and you should find the target, and one person, Beam, said, so what you are seeing there? And at that side there was a tree, and Beam replied that he saw a tree. And Nakul and Sagadev has been asked next, and they replied that I can see a tree, some branches are shaking. And the Acharya asked Yudhishthir, and he replied that yes, I can see a tree, also there is a branch which is shaking, and in that branch I can see a parrot doll. He asked the next student, Arjun, he replied that Acharya, I can see the eyes of the parrot doll. He asked him to shoot the arrow. So he rightly targeted the eyes and he shooted the arrow to the parrot's eye. So you can note here that the story behind the thing is, so what we are trying to learn, we have to be focused on that. Very sharp in his studies, and who is keen to learn will be learning much quicker, and your problem might be very big. So like that, in this sum you can see many number of things in the problem, and if you understand certain concept going to do here, if you understand this, and you will straight away understand the concept and look into the things what is required here to the problem. The rest of the students in that story are not wrong. So if they are into a different class, the scenario will be different. But in case of archery class, the target is very much important. Can you target all the tree with your arrow? So if you are targeting like that, then your accuracy of shooting will be very large. So you cannot shoot a single person, a single target, and you cannot learn an accurate knowledge. And even though you can see certain things, a student by student is different. So like that, what is required here, you have to understand according to the knowledge which you are taking. Okay, let us come to this problem here. Yes, like that in this problem you can see many things, but after the understanding the concept of coplanar concurrent force system, and to get the solution of this oriented problems, you need resolution of forces. So whatever might be the, so first if you are looking, you can see that this is a coplanar force system. Why? Because all the forces are acting in a single plane and the forces are concentrated to a single object. Now you identified it is coplanar concurrent force. So after that you can straight away use the resolution of forces formula. So you know that to find resultant you have to use the summation of f of x square plus summation of f of y square. If you root that, you will be getting resultant and the theta you have by using these values. So straight away you can make all the components to resolve vertical and horizontal with respect to the axis, and you can find the solution. Now we can see a next example. You can imagine this as a dam, 600 Newton in this direction. So even though you can find the resultant force for a dam. So dam is having a self weight and it is might be a wind force. So there is two forces acting at the point O. Now you have to determine the resultant forces acting on a structure at point O. Okay. Now you have to find the resultant force at this point O, both magnitude and direction. So you have to find the resultant and the theta here. At a single point you are having two number of forces which is acting. Now second thing what you have to do is you have to find the theta. So if all the forces are given with the angle, so now you can see that the 600 Newton is not given with the angle. So you have some other things which is given here. You can make use of this thing to find the theta here. So now let us make this into a geometrical figure, and in this geometrical figure we can take this as O, and the line which is perpendicular to that, which you can take this as B, and we can take the point as A here, and the angle which is given as 60 degree. Now the 600 Newton is acting and you can project a line, and that point we can make it as C, and this distance is given as 3 meter. Now CA is known here and AB is unknown here, and you can take this as an angle. If you know this theta, the opposite angle will be equal. So this is a property, geometric property in an inclined line. So both the angles which will be equal, and if you find this theta here, you can take the same angle as this theta. And now let us find the angle. So in a triangle OAB, so this is O, A and B, you know the theta which is 60 degree, and you know the hypotenuse side which is 6 meter. Now in a triangle, if you know the angle and a distance that is 6 meter, you can find the rest of the sides. So if you need OB, so you can take cos theta, adjacent by hypotenuse. So adjacent side is AB by hypotenuse side is 6. So cos 60 degree is AB by 6. And if you need the side of OB, you can use sin theta. Sin 60 is opposite by hypotenuse. So opposite is OB by 6. So OB by 6. So if you cross multiply this, cos 60 into 6 will become 3 meter and AB is 3 meter. Now you find that this AB distance is 3 meter. So totally in this triangle you have 6 meter in the base, and OB is found as sin 60 into 6. You will be getting 5.196 as the vertical distance. Yes. Let us take this greater triangle, that is O, C and B. So now you have to find this theta, but you know the total distance, that is CB is 6 meter and BC is 5.196 meter. Now if you apply tan theta, that is opposite by adjacent. So opposite side is 5.196 and adjacent is 6 meter. You can find the theta here. If you divide this and tan inverse, you will be getting theta as 40.8 89 degree. And if you know this theta here, you can take the same theta as this angle. After finding this angle theta, you can resolve. So let us take, now you have two forces and two forces angle are known here. And if you resolve the forces horizontally, so you have 800 which is acting right hand side and which is plus 800, and 600 which is acting at left hand side. 600 into cos theta, and 600 will be at negative, and minus 600 into cos theta. So cos theta is 40.89, and if you substitute that, you will be getting 346.409. And after that, vertically you are having only one force, that is 600 into sin theta, which will be downward. So minus 600 into 40.89 degree. So you will be getting sum of f of x and sum of f of y, and you can square this and add. After that, if you root, you will be getting 523.708 as the resultant. And finally, you can find the angle of resultant force as Fy by Fx. So if I am substituting Fy by Fx, I am getting the angle as minus 48.59 degree. Now how to understand this? So you got the resultant in terms of negative. So what it resembles, so you have taken angle with respect to horizontal axis as 40 degree, and if the angle is negative, you can take with respect to the opposite side. So this is the opposite side, which is 48.59 degree. So now the resultant is acting in this opposite direction of the force. So this is what the angle indicates. So the force is which is acting at downward. So why? Because the angle is negative. 48.59 degree in terms of negative side, the resultant is 523.708 kilonewton. So this is where the resultant is applied, and now you have found out the components which are required. So by this thing, whatever might be your example and case of your problem, first make it into axis, and you can take x axis and y axis, and after that make all the forces angle with respect to horizontal, and after that you find summation of f of x and the summation of f of y. You can find resultant and the theta for resultant, and if any unknown forces is given, you can find by using this concept. I hope you understand certain concept here and you got some confidence. Hope that you enjoyed this session. See you soon. Thank you. Happy learning.